Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've been seeing this very strange trend recently on YouTube. People trying to justify what Yazid did and try to create confusions about true incentives of Sayyidina Hussain alayhi salam and whether he really was a martyr or not, and whether what he did was truly for the sake of Islam or merely worldly gains. It's a sorry state of affairs. And so, as a Muslim, as a student of Islamic theology, and as a student of the religion of Islam, it is but my duty to talk about this very strange and treacherous trend on YouTube these days. So bear with me for a few moments because this is going to be a very short and sweet podcast, inshallah. So let's begin in the name of Allah. Yallah, Bismillah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. People have been trying to justify Yazid for centuries. And we all know where the funding comes from for these kinds of people. Remember something. Today, there are only two sects of Muslims. Yes, this might sound shocking to some of you, but truly there are only two sects of Muslims these days. The Hussaini and the Yazidi. People who side with Yazid and people who side with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And this has been ongoing for centuries. The Yazidi sect, the sect that sides with Yazid, has always had power. They had power in the form of hereditary kingship. They had power in form of money, in form of worldly gains, worldly possessions. And they have always been dominant in politics, in economics, in world affairs. And they have been always pushing this agenda about Yazid being justified in his actions because they have been spending a lot of money. And it is quite natural for them to do so because they have to save their hereditary kingship, right? They have to justify them being kings. And so you see Artughrul made into Ghazi in popular culture. Let me ask you a question. Is there a Ghazi and a Shaheed in hereditary kingship? Is there hereditary kingship in Islam at all to begin with? But the most dangerous narrative that I have been watching on YouTube these past few months is when these so-called YouTube scholars are now trying to label it as an academic fact that Imam Hussain alayhi salam did not fight the war, this battle with the Yazidi Lashkar, with the army of Yazid, because of Islam, because of truth. He fought because of worldly gain. And Yazid was justified in crubbing and crushing this insurgency. Ma'adallah, nakle kufr kufr nabasha. People have been saying this for centuries, but now these YouTube scholars are trying to justify this narrative as being an academic fact. Nothing could be far from truth. As an academic myself, bihamdihi ta'ala, as a humble student of religion, please let me tell my youth, this is far from truth. If you study the books, the same books that they quote from, you'll find both sides. You'll find narrations from both sides. And so really it's about choosing a side. It's about being a Hussaini or a Yazidi. If you study Tarikh Tabari, for example, or any book of Siyar and Maghazi and Malahim for that matter, you'll find that there are narrations which are inauthentic and there are narrations that are authentic. So you have to do a lot of Rijal criticism and you have to do a lot of research in order for you to arrive to a sound academic conclusion. And take it from me, maybe I'll write about it someday. I'll write a research paper on this as well, inshallah. I think it's high time that I did so, exposing lies of these charlatans, of these intellectual dwarfs, inshallah. But take it from me, in these kutub, in these academic sources, we find authentically, in authentic narrations, that Imam Hussain alayhi salam did not sacrifice himself and his family for any worldly gain. Shah ast Hussain, Badshah ast Hussain, Deen ast Hussain, Deen Panah ast Hussain. He did it all for the religion, for Islam. You study books like Siyar wa Alam al-Nubala, Tarikh Baghdad. You study books like Tarikh Tabari, Tarikh Ibn Kathir, Tarikh Ibn Khaldun. Any of these books, pick any of these books, you can find them on internet. If these guys can find it on internet and download the PDF, so can you. Find it on internet, download the PDFs and study for yourselves. It's right there, man. What they can study, you can study as well, right? Many of these books have been translated into Urdu. One of the books that I would recommend anyone and everyone to study, in English and Urdu both, it is available. It is called Khilafat or Malukiyat. Khilafah and Malukiyah by Abul A'la al-Maududi. Study this book. And so you'll find how the Yazidi sect has always been trying to push a false agenda. So please beware of this. Yazid and his followers have always had the power, have always had the worldly gains. They have always had the political power, the economic power. They have always influenced the academia, the intellectual side of affairs in Muslim world. And this is a reality, sad but true. The Hussaini sect has never had the power, has never been in power, has never been in political power or economic power. But with these scarce resources, the academia is always on our side, on the Hussaini side, inshallah. And if you study and you study well, you'll find out that all of these are lies. You can never justify Yazid and in what he did. So I pray to Allah Almighty that He makes us a Hussaini, and in the Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, the day of resurrection, He resurrects us as Imam Hussain being our Imam, because Allah says in the Quran, يَوْمَ نَدْعُوا كُلُّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. And on that day we will resurrect everyone by the name of their Imam, بِإِمَامِهِمْ. And so I pray to Allah Almighty that He calls us by the name of Hussain alayhi salam as our Imam, inshallah. Don't side with Yazid. Beware of this. Be very aware. We all know where the funding comes from, right? You have to be really naive, or you've been really living under a rock if you think otherwise. And if you're this naive, it's right there in front of you. And so I'll keep this podcast short. I just quickly wanted to comment. Remember, فَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. There are always academics out there that will tell you the truth. If there are these charlatans, there are true academics out there as well. So please beware of the charlatans and the liars, and choose your sides wisely. Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulullah wa ala alika ya Sayyidi ya Habibullah. Assalamu alayka ya Hussain. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منا والممات وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.